You looking for some prospects to stash? Well, stick around because we're talking about 9 guys who would make an instant impact to your team, and some of them a little bit sooner than others. How's it going, everybody? You're tuned into the Stoned On Sports podcast. Matt here, Kyle's here as usual, but we've got a friend of the show, Austin, on today to help us talk about them prospects. Austin, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. Like you said, my name's Austin. Been playing fantasy baseball for about 15 years now. Been playing with you two for probably, 2, 3 years now.
Yeah.
Been looking forward to tonight and excited to be on with you guys.
Glad to have you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think it's going to be a pretty fun show. We talked about prospects. At this point, it was almost 3 months ago. And we figured, you know what? It's about time we give an update to that list. And we're already starting to see some folks get called up. So why not get started? I'm going to start things off with Jackson Jobe of the Detroit Tigers. He is the number 23 overall prospect, according to MLB.com, and the number 2 pitching prospect. Last year, he started 16 games in the minors, went 2-4, had a 2.81 ERA, a WHIP of just 0.98, struck out 84, only walked 6 in 64 innings pitched. He did get touched up for 9 home runs. He did miss the first half of the year with some lumbar spine inflammation. But when you look at those numbers and realize this dude pitched at 4 levels last season, he ended at AA where he made 1 start, and he's got a hell of an arsenal. He's got 4+ pitches in his fastball, cutter, slider, and change, and he's got that nice 10-mile-an-hour delta that we like between his fastball and changeup. The slider is absolutely wipeout, generating over 3,000 RPMs of spin. And he played really well in the Arizona Fall League last year, too. Started 4 games, went 3-1, sported a 2.87 ERA. The WHIP was a little bit higher at 1.2, but he did strike out 9 and walk just 5. He's somebody who sits in the mid-90s. He was hitting 100 this spring, though. So far this year, he's struggled with his command a little bit. He does have 7 walks in 5 2/3 innings pitched across 2 starts. But he does have 8 strikeouts and 18 swinging strikes in just 29 batters faced. That is some serious swing and miss. That is what we love to see. I don't think his call up is imminent. I think he's somebody you're going to see later on this summer, or maybe they wait until the rosters expand in September. But we've all seen how injuries are playing out so far this year. And if that hits the Tigers pitching staff, don't be surprised to see him towing the rubber down in Motown.
What you think, Austin? What do you feel about Jackson Jobe?
The swing and miss is there. Normally, I would say doesn't walk anybody. Small sample sizes, guys. I mean, it's only 5.2 innings pitched with those 7 walks. I mean, I don't think that there's too much to be worried about. As Tigers fans, you guys are probably pretty excited about a Scooble and Jobe 1A, 1B punch for a while.
Oh,
that would be nice, especially with Jobe. He's really renowned for that slider of his, 85 mile an hour, almost 3,000. I think he's hit 3,000 RPMs once or twice in spring. I know he was high 2,900s, but it's got a 40-inch vertical break and a 14-inch horizontal break. It's just nasty looking stuff.
Nasty.
But like you mentioned, he's got a full arsenal of swing and miss offerings. It's just can he be durable? I know he missed some time last season with some back issues. So, I think it'll probably be a late season call up after the break.
Yeah, whenever it is, whenever he comes up, and I do think it'll be this year, he's somebody who's going to make an instant impact because that swing and miss translates so well. I think the early season walks, and Austin, you touched on this just a moment ago. I think it's small sample size noise and nothing more. And I love, you see smaller guys throwing that hard and you'll tend to get concerned because you think, all right, the arm injury is just around the corner. And when you throw 100 miles an hour or can hit 100, it's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I do like that he does have the frame to help support that. And maybe he can stave that off a little bit longer than some other guys might.
How many innings do you think that they get him to this year?
I think probably 100, maybe 110. I don't think they're going to push too much beyond what he did last year. There's no sense in it. I mean, he's 21, 22 years old.
Right.
The Tigers aren't contending for anything this year, so why rush it? But at the same time, he'll get up, he'll get a taste, and I think he'll be in the rotation for sure next year.
Heck yeah. Next up, we got, oh God, this kid's so good. The Orioles. You know, we talk a lot about the Orioles, and they're just fucking plethora of prospects. This guy's really good. Heston Kjerstad, first base, outfield. He's 25, second overall pick in the 2020 minor league draft. He's the number 14 prospect for Baltimore, and he's number 30 overall, according to MLB.com. He's currently, with everybody else that's great in Baltimore at AAA Norfolk. He's just starting hot. Player. He was the minor league player of the week for the International League the first week of the month. He had a 5-hit multi-homer, 10 RBI game. That's just sick. Again, it's the minors, but still. This year with the Tides, he's 14 games played, 22 for 68, couple doubles, 7 home runs, 26 RBI, 17 runs, 9 walks, 13 Ks. He's slashing 386, 471, 825 for a 1295 OPS. So he's walking at a 13% clip. Nice strikeout rate of 19%, looking good. He did get the call up last season, the last 2 weeks of September. Didn't really do great. Was 7 for 30, pair of dingers, a double, 3 RBIs, pair of walks, but did strike out 10 times. That's a 30% strikeout rate. That's going to be no bueno. But, you look under the hood a lot deeper with him. Even in that small sample size, he had a 20% barrel rate, 55% hard hit rate, and a 551 expected slugging when he was up in the majors last year. That would place him among the top hitters in the game last year. So he's mastered the AAA level, right? I don't think there's much more that he can really do. It kind of sucks that O'Hearn's having a hell of a season, beginning of the season. But Kjerstad's really making a case for himself to be brought up. I think he's probably, he's difficult to stash in shallow formats, especially 10 teams, because you just don't know when he's going to get the call up. But I think he's definitely worth stashing in deeper leagues, AL only formats as well. If he was not with the Orioles, he'd be on the major league roster for any other team, right? I think that's very believable, but I think he'll be a popular waiver wire target when he does get called up because of that supreme power potential. Stash him if you have room, at least put him on your watch list.
Yeah, I think he's a definite stash opportunity here. I mean, there's an embarrassment of riches in Baltimore right now.
Yes.
We'll see how long O'Hearn can keep him down. I mean, Hayes is off to a bad start. I don't know if they want to, cycle him in with some DH opportunities there. So, I mean, big bat. He's already 25. He did miss some time with some health issues, but doesn't seem to have slowed him down. But I think he's ready.
Yeah, I think so too. I think just given the way he's hitting and some of his teammates down there in Norfolk are hitting, they're really beating down the door to get back to the show. Kyle, you kind of touched on his cup of coffee at the end of last season. One thing I found really interesting is he had all those hard hit balls and a high exit velocity. He only had 3 extra base hits, 2 home runs and 1 double. But we're talking about a cat that has power to all fields. He's not just a dead pull hitter. There's a lot of swing and miss in there, and you can get him to chase, but that's a trade-off I'm going to take for just the damage he can do with his bat.
Right.
What we got going on here in the comments? We got Kip in the house. Got to start from the bottom to get to the top. Dubo fantasy wants me to learn the hard way. We got Dubo back.
Yep, Dubo's back from, where did he go?
Jamaica.
Yeah. I know you had a good time there, bud. Austin Dubo's one of our just amazing viewers, supporters in here. He's here in every chat. Loud Boy as well. And
What's
Kip
up, guys?
as well.
Love to hear it.
But excellent. All right. Anything else on that?
No, I think we're good on him.
Good to go. Your time to shine there, buddy.
All right. We on Rhett Lowder?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. So Rhett Lowder, not a whole lot to go off of professionally. He was shut down by the Reds after they took him 7th overall last year. His college stats were just incredible that last year there at Wake Forest. 120.1 innings pitched to a 187 ERA with 143 Ks in those 120 innings pitched with only 24 walks. I mean, that's just incredible. That's a 10.79 K point. Sorry, 10.7 K per nine and a 1.8 walks per nine. I mean, that's just incredible. That's a fast track to the show. Small sample size professionally this year. I mean, it's only 2 starts, 9 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 10 Ks to only 2 walks. He has a great 4-pitch mix. If you want to count the 2 fastballs, he has a 4-seam and a sinker, and then a slider and a changeup. I mean, his changeup is his out pitch. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. He can use both the slider and the changeup as out pitches. I mean, there's really not a whole lot the guy can't do. I think he has a really high floor as a mid-rotation piece, but I mean, I think that the frontline ace potential is there. I wouldn't be banking on that floor. I want to go for that ceiling, and I think Lowder has one of the biggest ceilings in the prospect space. Really reminiscent of George Kirby, just with his control. I think he's a really good comp there. And then that just speaks to his ceiling, right? I mean, Kirby was a consensus top 5 to 6 to 10 starting pitcher for most fantasy outlets this year. It's kind of unfortunate he started the year in high A. I was kind of hoping he'd start in double A. But I think that they're still going to move him fairly quickly. I mean, that NL Central is wide open. The Reds can make a run for it just like anybody else can in that division. So I really think that Lowder can be that spark that they need after the break.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, when I hear Cincinnati Reds pitcher, the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh my God, they've got to pitch in that stadium. But Andrew Abbott has shown us thus far it can be done. And one thing, again, we're talking about small sample noise. He's got a 66.7% ground ball rate. And if you're keeping the ball on the ground to that degree, I don't give a shit where you're playing. You're going to have success. And his last time out, he fanned 5. Yeah, he fanned 5 in 5 innings pitched. And I was kind of watching him. His delivery is really kind of wonky. But it does add to the deception. And it's almost like when he finishes his follow through, he's standing straight upright. And I saw that and I backed up the video. And it's like, how in the hell can you have success with that kind of motion? Now, it's not like Tim Lincecum, like just completely strange looking, but it is a delivery you don't see every day. I think that's going to help him out. I absolutely love his slider. He's got a 70 grade slider that is going to play regardless of level. I think he is at minimum long-term going to be a mid-rotation piece. I think if they call him up this year, we'll say, late May, early June, something like that, he would probably be their 3rd best starter. I think he would slot right into the middle of the rotation. You're going to have some growing pains with him, but the swing and miss is real. He's got the high quality pitches. He does have the deceptive delivery, and all those little factors are going to help translate into early success for him, I think.
It was. And I think his ability to really effectively blend and alternate his pitches is a key strength for him. That's going to allow you to work through, tough MLB lineups effectively, over extended innings. So I really like the guy too, a lot. Heck yeah. You guys covered it all.
We're very thorough here.
Yeah.
This next dude, not gonna lie, his ass got called up today, but we had already done our notes and we ain't changing this shit last minute. I'm talking about Jack Leiter of the Texas Rangers, and he was a really high heralded prospect. He was a top 5 pick coming out of college, and he really struggled in his first couple of years in the minors. They were very aggressive with him, putting him straight to AA out of college. He's going to be starting Thursday against the Tigers. Not sure how much of a leash he's going to have or how long he's going to be up. Um, they're dealing with some injuries there in Texas, and Andrew Heaney is pretty much pitching his way out of the rotation. So I think if he comes up and looks fairly good, he could stick around for a few starts. He was somebody who was absolutely dominant in college. He struck out almost half the batters that he faced. And I talked to about the struggles he had in Double-A in 2022 and 2023 across 174 and a third innings pitched. He had a walk rate over 13, an ERA and a FIP, both over 5 each year. But the strikeout rate remains strong, averaging 28.5% per year. But he was so bad, he fell out of the top 100 prospect rankings. This year, he's been fantastic so far. He's pitched in 3 games, started 2 of them. He's got a 3.77 ERA, 25 strikeouts, and it looks like he's fixed some of the control issues that he was having. He's only issued 3 walks. He's given up 11 11 hits. 4 of them have been home runs in just 14 and a third innings pitched. But you want to keep in mind, he pitches in the Pacific Coast League, and the majority of those stadiums are at elevation. In his last start out in 6 innings pitched, he struck out 10 with 18 swinging strikes, no walks. He did allow 3 solo home runs, but still 3 runs is 3 runs no matter how you get there. He's got a nice 4-pitch mix with a plus fastball and slider. Curve's about average, and he's got a changeup that needs work. The start at the Tigers is looking good. I doubt many of you have paid attention to the series thus far, but Detroit is not really putting many runs on the board right now. Over the past week, they've got the 3rd most strikeouts. They're bottom 10 in runs, and they've got a team on base of just 277 and only 37 hits across the past week. To give you a little bit of a reference, that's 3 fewer than the Oakland A's.
Yep. Austin, Jack Leiter. What you know about him? What you like?
Love to see that improved control for sure. He's got the pedigree too. He's got the family on the show. You love to see that. And he knows how to take care of his body, knows how to work to get there, and knows how to stay. So I'm excited to see him. I'll be tuning into the start.
Yeah. What was he? He was 2nd overall in 21? I think.
He was top 5, either 2nd or 3rd overall.
One thing I did watch, you did just briefly mention the fastball, but it is up a tick as well this season, and it's got a nice whiff rate of 40.7% on that fastball pitch. So, Tigers plays them Thursday. Of course, I watch every Tigers game one way or another, so I'll be checking them out for sure.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. That's how it goes. Hey, scored more runs in the 8th today and came back and won and beat Texas. So they looked really good against Texas this week. I'm next, ain't I? Shit.
You sure are.
All right. So with the plethora, again, I keep using that word, of all the players in the Baltimore organization, you just can't not talk about Coby Mayo. Plays 1st and 3rd. Drafted by the Orioles in the 4th round in the 2020 draft. He's the number 3 prospect for the Orioles, 28 overall. He's Kjerstad, who I just talked about a moment ago. He's his current teammate there at the Tides. He's played 15 games there for him, 24 for 72, 4 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 13 runs, with 3 stolen bases. He's slashing 369, 417, 692 with 1109 OPS. Strikeout rate, it's high. He's had 23 of them. He's at about 32%. Walk rate could be a little bit better. He's a little low at 6.9, but not bad. His production, despite those percentages I just mentioned, it's impressive. He had a great spring training as well. Slash 360, 448, 560. Hit a bunch of, had 11 RBIs, 7 runs. Better walk rate at 10.3% in the spring. Nice strikeout rate of 20.7. I think the strikeouts will start to normalize a bit. What I do like, while his line drive rate's at 24%, his ground ball rate is below. He's really got some power, man. He don't fucking hit ground balls. So, and he does that with that fly ball rate of over 40%. That's pretty much where he's been his whole minor league career. And it helps by him pulling the shit out of the ball. So far this season, 46.5% pull rate, 62 games at AAA last year, a whopping I had wanted to refresh the screen, 58.9% pull rate. I think he's ready to be he's ready to be a major league level player, and I'll tell you why. The numbers against both right and left-handed pitching are what really stand out on with him, especially on a Baltimore Orioles team that relies heavily on matchups and platooning. This spring, he's hit 300 against lefties and righties, and has a 923 OPS against righties, and has four of his 6 extra base hits also against same side pitching. So you like to see that. That's definitely a precursor you do like to see before you get called up. I like it. I think the plate skills need to look a little bit better if he's going to get the call up, especially since he's battling Kjerstad for that roster spot. We believe the power is definitely there. I like his bat at Camden Yards. Could you imagine what it would have been pre-22 before they extended the dimensions there?
Mhm.
Oh my God, he could hit 50 home runs there easily. So how do they get him up? How do you, what about trading Ryan Mountcastle? Even with the vertigo issues he had last year, he was pretty good numbers last season. I don't know off the top of my head. He was 700 OPS, somewhere around there, but still got 2 more years of control. I think it could net a decent return and could clear a fucking space for either Mayo or Kjerstad. But I love both of these guys, Mayo especially.
Yeah, and I think too, maybe it's not Mountcastle or O'Hearn that gets traded. Maybe it's one of these guys in the minors, because you can see just looking at their organizational structure and what they've got at each level, all of their best prospects are hitters, and you can trade those for pitching. And you look at what they gave up, even to get Corbin Burns, they gave up DL Hall, but none of their real top tier guys.
Right.
One of these dudes could bring an amazing return. Now, talking about Coby Mayo specifically, he's not somebody who's going to be a 300 hitter in the show, but he's going to give you high 20s, maybe low 30s power. And it does suck because O'Hearn is off to such a scorching start. He's just kind of stuck down there at AAA, beating the ball like it owes him money with absolutely nothing left to prove. I mean, shit, the dude is hit safely in every game but one. Like, what more do you want to see?
Yeah. I think
challenging.
Yeah, I mean, you both brought up great points there with the trades. I mean, that was the biggest thing in my mind when I was trying to think of the way to summarize this. I mean, it doesn't even have to be, one of those established guys. I mean, I think Mayo, Kjerstad, Westberg, they have so many. I mean, what they give up, Joey Ortiz and DL Hall for a Cy Young. I mean, imagine, like you said, imagine what they could get. I mean, another starting pitcher would make them instant top 3 to 5 favorites. So he's got a big bat, a little bit of swing and miss. But I think he can figure it out.
I mean, if you're the Baltimore general manager, you just got to be loving this. I mean, it's a challenge, but
it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. Yep. Sure is. All right. Next up, we got Cade Horton. Austin?
Yes, sir. Excited to talk about Cade Horton as your resident Cubs fan.
Yes.
He was the first round selection in 22, 7 overall. He's got a fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. 1 second, guys. Sorry.
Take your time. Oh, he's gone.
All right.
I know. He really soared up 3 levels last year in his pro debut there. As well, helping Tennessee win its first outright Southern League title since 1978. So posted a nice ERA, 2.65 and 88 1/3 across 21 starts. He ended the season at AA Tennessee after starting the year at low A Myrtle Beach. Strikeout guy, 33.5% strikeout rate. Amazing. Leans heavily on the 4-seam fastball. Got a nice sharp slider. Really needs to. I know he needed to work on his pitch repertoire a little bit. He spent last year working with the Cubs pitching group on developing a spike curveball, which is interesting, and that different Vulcan grip for a changeup as well. I like him. He's aggressive. We'll see. Jordan Wicks last year, I mean, he was in the minors and began the year at Double-A, and now he's in the majors. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Cubs got to do something, and I was talking about talking with our former co-host Ramey about the Cubs, and looking at Kyle Hendricks, who just looks like he's absolutely toast at this point. Plus, they're dealing with some injuries there. The things that I really like about him is he's somebody who he's even demonstrating in the minors already that he's going to keep the ball in the yard. He's averaging just 0.7 home runs per 9 innings, and his walk rate of 2.6 walks per 9 is fantastic. He looked excellent in his season debut the other day, throwing 36 of 53 pitches for strikes. And you did talk about that four pitch mix. He's got a plus fastball and slider. The curve and change both project as above average. He's got a nice repertoire already. I understand him wanting to continue to work on it, and the Cubs development team wanting him to continue to work on it, because looking good at Double-A is a hell of a lot different than looking good in the show, especially when you consider the ballpark there in Chicago and how things get in the summer. You want to make sure that he's as tight and as locked in as he can be before they bring him up.
Agreed. Austin was having some technical difficulties, folks, so he just texted, said he'll be back shortly, but can't just stop the show, unfortunately. Who you got, Matt? Somebody from the Braves, right?
Yep. And so this guy isn't a prospect per se. He no longer has prospect status, but he is down on the farm, and that is Bryce Elder of the Atlanta Braves. If that name sounds familiar, well, it should, because he was an all-star last season with the Braves. He is still on the 40-man roster. He looked like complete ass this spring, and he lost his starting rotation spot. He allowed 11 earned runs, 15 hits, struck out 13, walked 6, and just 12 innings pitched. Last year, though, you look at what he did across 31 starts. He was 12-4, a 3.81 ERA, 127 WHIP, 128 strikeouts, and 62 walks. Typically, I'm not really interested in somebody that strikes out 6.5 batters per 9. I want 9 at least. And he does give up a little bit more hard contact than average as well. His 8.6% walk rate is acceptable, but I absolutely love his 50% ground ball rate. He's got a 4-pitch mix that really comes in at roughly the same speed, all in kind of this 6, 7, 8 mile an hour box. And when you are throwing pitches that do not have much delta between their velocities, you need movement. Well, he doesn't really have a whole lot of horizontal movement to his pitches, but he's got plenty of vertical drop. He's looked good so far this season down at AAA. Started a couple games across 10 1/3 innings pitched. He struck out 11, walked 3, allowed 3 earned runs, and has given up a homer. And you might be thinking, all right, well, you've not necessarily shit on this guy, but you're not really singing his praises. Why should I consider him? Well, anybody who is a regular part of the Atlanta Braves rotation is fantasy relevant. While somebody like Bryce Elder is not going to give you a whole lot of strikeouts, he can give you innings pitched, and he can help get you wins simply because of the team context there. All he's got to do is keep them in the game. And that's going to be the same for whoever fills the hole in rotation that's left by Spencer Strider getting hurt. And understand, you're not going to find another Spencer Strider. I'm sure the Braves would love to, but that's just not a reality. And so they're probably going to piece together that 5th starter spot for the rest of the season. Unless somebody comes in and just absolutely takes it, it's going to be a little of this guy, a little of that guy, some matchup plays. But if you can get 4, 5, 6 starts out of an Atlanta Braves starter, I'm going to take that, especially over some of the other fodder that you're going to have in your leagues.
Yeah, I think that 174 innings last year was a little bit too much of a workload. I think it might have caught up to him, for lack of a better term. He struggled down the stretch. First half, he was an all-star. He really did that by being an outstanding ground ball pitcher at 54.8%. Second half, that shit disappeared. I don't know what happened. Sharp increase in line drives and fly balls. It caused him a fucking lot of problems. Nice barrel rate, nice ground ball rate. Everything, all the other categories we kind of really care about aren't great StatCast wise. But he can eat innings, and like you said, he can get wins because of that great lineup.
Yeah, and I think if nothing more at this point right now, he's a spec ad. If you have room on your bench, he plays a hell of a lot better in deeper leagues and NL only leagues than he does in shallow or mixed leagues. If I'm in a 10-team league, I'm probably not entertaining the thought. If I'm in a 12-team league, if I'm in a 15-team league, then yeah, it's like that old adage, right? Everybody gets more attractive closer to 2 a.m. and Bryce Elder definitely falls into that category.
Absolutely. We're sticking with the Braves. Why the hell not? Right. Yeah. All right. AJ Smith Shawver with the Atlanta Braves. Oh, my notes are gone. Oh, there they are. My bad. Really took everyone by surprise last season, going from high A ball all the way to the big leagues. He came up for a few cups of coffee, 4 games in June, 1 in late July, 1 in late September as well, just 6 games. He started 5 of them, went 1-0 and 25 1/3 innings pitched. Became the youngest Braves pitcher to win a game since Steve Avery. You remember him, Matt? God,
I sure do.
But he had a 4.26 ERA, a 1.11 WHIP, batting average against of 183. But he really struck out guys too little at 7 per 9 and walked guys too much at almost 4 per 9. That's a tale as old as time, isn't it, Matt? His start to this season has been kind of rough. In his second start last Wednesday, the 10th, he was 2 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned, 1 walk, 5 Ks. His first start was even worse than that. Chased after just 2 outs in the first inning, gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, all earned, only struck out 1. And something was wrong because his control was way off. He walked 3 batters. He threw a wild pitch too. So some things to get the kinks out, get dialed in. So has a nice 4-pitch arsenal now. Fastball averages about 95 miles an hour, can reach triple digits. It's got an above average hard hit rate. You like to see that. His secondary pitch is a slider. He throws it about mid 80s. It's really effective at inducing swings and misses. And those 2 pitches, that fastball and slider, they're his most 2 thrown. But the batting average against for that, they're about in the mid 150s for those pitches. It's kind of nice. Change up. It's a strikeout pitch for him too. It's a reliable strikeout pitch, but it also induces a lot of weak contact, and you love to see that. And that curveball, it's an upper 70s. It's pretty effective as well. It gives you that contrast, that vertical contrast to his fastball. But he has some work to do on it. The hard hit rate of 50%, accompanied by a pretty low whiff rate, got some work to do. Now there's something to be said. Prospects, these guys are young. This guy especially, he's 21, still relatively inexperienced compared to most other top pitching prospects. And so with that youth comes that inexperience. He hasn't really had a lot of opportunities to build innings. In his pro career, the full 2 seasons in the minor leagues, he's 68 2/3 at Single A Augusta. And then just 90 combined innings last year in the regular season and postseason. So we need to see what his increase is going to be. I say most teams usually will allow an increase of anywhere from 30 to 50 innings from season to season. So that'll give him between like 115, 140 to project this season. So I'm interested to see how that works off for him. He's a hell of an athlete. Reports say he worked very hard this offseason, putting in the physical work to take on that extra workload. So bring him up after the break, see if he's settled down after the next couple months. I mean, Max Fried so far kind of had a rough start to the season. Charlie Morton's 40 damn years old. I know the numbers aren't pretty now, but if you can spare a spot, stash him.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about his second start. Yeah, he only went 2 1/3, but he threw 31 of his 50 pitches for strikes with 9 swinging strikes. So you can see the swing and miss there. The command absolutely needs work. Excuse me. His command absolutely needs work, but at the same time, the strikeout, the swing and miss stuff is absolutely there. He's got that plus fastball. His slider projects as a plus pitch. His curveball is above average. And again, this goes back to some of the points we made talking about Bryce Elder. It's not so much that AJ Smith-Shawver is going to come up and just take that rotation spot for the rest of the year, but it's more opportunity, right? I doubt many of you out there watching have your 5, 6, 7 starters just set and you're not changing anything from week to week. Most of us, the best we can hope for is 3 or 4 guys that we can just say, all right, I'm happy to start this dude against anybody but the Dodgers,
Right.
or anybody but the Braves. It's going to be the same thing with his 5th rotation spot. You're going to be playing matchups the same way Atlanta's going to be doing. And between Shawver and Bryce Elder, they each give you a couple different things. Are you looking for innings? Are you looking for strikeouts? What is it that you need? That's a question you need to ask. And that's also a question the Braves are going to be asking themselves as they look at their rotation for the upcoming week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be.
I see Austin's technical difficulties are over with. How you doing, man? You're back.
I'm good. Yep, sorry about that.
Awesome.
It's a forced thing from my computer, and I couldn't stop it.
Things happen, man. You got anything you want to add on Smith-Shawver?
I have that he would be the easy call-up if it were not for Elder, who I assume you guys already discussed.
Yep.
Okay, so I think, he's next in line. I think Elder gets the next call. Winans wasn't the answer. I don't think Vines is the answer. So, and we'll see if first half Elder can, regain, if we can regain first half form. If it's second half, then AJ won't be too far behind.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, you showed up in time just to talk about Mr. Tiedemann.
Mr. Tiedemann. Oh, okay.
Ricky, whenever you're ready, bro.
Did you guys run through Horton?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You missed out on him. Sorry, man.
Tiedemann was the 3rd round pick for Toronto in 21. No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate you guys filling in for me. Okay, Tiedemann, 3rd round pick for Toronto in 21. He was held to 44 innings pitched in 23. But in those 44 innings, he struck out 82 batters. Now, that's some pretty incredible swing and miss there. He did walk 23, so there was a little bit of control issues there, but not a little bit, a lot of it. Walking about half, 23 and 44 innings is not great, but the 82 strikeouts we love to see. He started 2024 in AAA. In a small sample size, he has gone 8 innings, struck out 10, but with 9 walks. So the control issues are still pretty prevalent there with Tiedemann. He's going to have to figure that control out, as well as happen to battle injuries. I think that the frontline potential is there, but I definitely think that there might be a little bit of bullpen downside. His stuff might play up better in shorter stints anyways. I definitely think that Toronto will give him the leash to start, but I think it's kind of up to him how far he can take that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You talk about the walks this season so far. He's also hit 3 dudes already. But I almost wonder how much, and this is speaking, specifically at AAA there in the International League. I wonder how much of that do you want to chalk out to them using the robo-umps calling balls and strikes? Because if
it could be,
I don't necessarily think that explains everything, but I think it could be a factor just because strike zones are you're used to them varying so much from umpire to umpire to umpire. and it's almost like having to retrain yourself to pitch to the book strike zone. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
there is
see
no
that.
more expanding the zone. Pitch framing is no longer a thing. You're having to rely on throwing that in that little damn box. Another cause for concern, he's given up 3 home runs already this season. He only gave up 4 the past 2 years
Mhm.
combined. So he's got some stuff to work on. I do think he has the overall stuff to be a very effective major league pitcher. I also like the fact that him going to Toronto with how that stadium plays now, since they did their own renovations there. I mean, it went from a hitter's park to a pitcher's park overnight.
Overnight. Yeah. You mentioned the home runs. That's definitely not so good, but he'll right the ship, I think, and he'll be in Toronto at some point this season. And
Mhm.
when that guy is up in the majors and he's giving you 180 innings of fully realized, fully healthy Tiedemann, that can change the trajectory of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, he's an auto start, I mean, he's a stash candidate now. He's already stashed in most leagues, right? And I think that I don't want to talk too much about this because I definitely think that he'll get a very long leash in Toronto. I mean, he is built to be a frontline starter. So I don't want people to take the downside of bullpen being imminent. I just think it's there. I think it's an option for them. But I definitely think that he can be a game changer.
Yeah. I think it's important. The Blue Jays really need to balance, how much they push him, in
Mhm.
AAA and how much to save for his big leg debut. So, which could come very quickly.
Well, he keeps walking people. He ain't going to rack up many innings in the minors. He'll
That's
have
true.
plenty of time to pitch there in Toronto.
Agreed.
Matt, I think you had a couple guys that got called up today. You wanted to mention?
Yeah. So there was a couple guys, Andy Pius, and I'm probably butchering that name. He's an outfielder for the Dodgers. Jason Hayward is hurt, and James Outman continues to struggle with just the most basic tenet of hitting, which is making contact. Because of that, I think he has a good chance to stick around. He's going to give you a good amount of power. And while he won't hit for a big average, he's got some decent on base skills. He'll draw a walk. I think he's a good spec ad there. And anytime you can get a piece of that Dodgers offense, sign me up. I don't give a shit if he's hitting 9th.
Yeah, I would think playing time might be a factor in his ability to help fantasy. With veteran, what the fuck's it? Chris Taylor's there, Enrique Hernandez. They both haven't really done much to earn everyday starts so far. Anyway, but I'm sure this guy's already rostered in dynasty leagues, but he's a speculative ad in redrafts.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he's a little bit more viable in deeper leagues, 12-team leagues, stuff like that. But at the same time, if you've got the bench space or maybe some 10-team leagues with bigger benches, burn a spot on them. You never know what's going to happen. And as the weather warms up, especially out there in California, like we saw last year, the ball is going to fly out of that park.
Yep.
And I think the Dodgers are going to give at bats to the guys that are producing. I mean, that's a stacked lineup, but if you're hitting, you're playing. So I hope I hope he can hit the ground running. That's my only concern is potential too much time on the bench, but I think he can get it going.
Yeah. And I don't think they brought him up to sit him on the bench.
Agreed.
They need the outfield help right now. I didn't really get the appeal of James Outman coming into the season. When you're talking about a guy with a below 70% contact rate, you're not going to last long, especially in a lineup like that, on a team like that has the expectations that they do. Now, are the other bats in the lineup capable of picking up the slack? Abso-freaking-lutely. But you can't ask them to do it every single day. You've got to earn your playing time. And while Outman was a nice little story last year, and there's certainly some upside to his game, you got to be able to put the bat on the ball.
For sure.
Absolutely.
You had another guy. With Houston, they need some desperate help in their bullpen.
Yes, they do. And it's former number one overall pitching prospect, Forrest Whitley. If that name sounds familiar, that's why. He was actually the number one pitching prospect back in 2019. And then he served a 50-game drug suspension. And then he had Tommy John. And then he had a lat strain. And the next thing you know, he's being offered up as a throw in and some trades in fantasy leagues and a name, quite frankly, that I'd forgotten about for quite a while. I just assumed he went the, Brady Aiken route and just fell off the face of the earth. He is going to work out of the pen. And we've seen, at least with Josh Hader, who's looked not that great so far this year. He gave up, I think it was 4 runs last night. Granted, it wasn't a save situation. So we'll see how it works. I mean, I'm not rushing out to add him. He's not going to take Josh Hader's spot, but if you're in a holds league, he may be able to work himself into that situation, into some 7th and 8th innings. It might be a minute before he gets that high leverage stuff, but he's worth at least taking a look at because the prospect pedigree is there. And if he can dial his command back in, you've got a decent piece there.
Yeah, I mean, he was the guy to own forever, right?
Yeah, because he was
drafted
in like 16, I think.
Yeah,
it was a while ago. So
yeah,
I think he was a top 15 pick, top 20 pick, but it's got quality strikeout numbers, but struggles mightily with his control. So if he can rein in,
I think they'll ease him into some. Yeah, I think they'll ease him into some high leverage stuff. So I'm excited to see what he still has.
Yep. Well, we'll see with that lengthy injury history. Who knows how long he'll be even up for. So we got a question in the comments. Sorry, late. Have you talked to Cade Povich or Chase McDermott maybe getting a call up? We have not. What's your thought?
And I think Povich is more likely to get the call before McDermott because right now McDermott is walking way too many guys. Povich has looked pretty damn good so far. Across 16 innings down at AAA. He's got a 13.22 K per 9. He's walking 5.76 per 9, but McDermott is walking like 11 per 9, and that's just not going to fly. Now, again, we talked about it earlier. This is small sample size noise. I think Baltimore they're hoping that Bradish can come back and give them some semblance of what he gave him last year. Cole Irvin and Wells are doing their best to fill in, but neither of those are somebody you really want to build a rotation around. Obviously, they got Corbin Burns to really anchor things, but beyond that, there's quite a few positions in that rotation that are going to be pretty fluid, I think, throughout the year. I wouldn't be surprised to see either of them called up here in the next 6 weeks, but my money would be on Povich to come up first.
And his follow-up comment was Wells went on IL just a few minutes ago.
Nice. See, look at that. You can be our Baltimore correspondent.
Right.
Keeping us up to date. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Austin, anything to add on those guys?
No, I think you guys covered it.
I think so as well. Matt did a great job with that. Thanks for the comment there. If you haven't, please give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Here every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, we're done with prospects, right? We had some injuries happen over the weekend, yesterday, today even. Matt?
Yep. So the first one, and this has kind of been lingering here for the past few days, Christian Yelich. The Brewers finally quit dragging their feet. They put him on the IL maybe 90 minutes ago. And you hate to see it because his back soreness has already limited him to just 11 games so far this season, but it's not like that's a new thing for him either. It's kind of plagued him the last few years. Hopefully it's just the minimum time spent out, but it's still yet to be seen. I'm sure plenty of you out there who have ever experienced any kind of back pain know that, just when you think it's healed, you stand up wrong or you sneeze or you rotate and you're right back where you started. So this is going to be a wait and see approach for him.
You think we'll, what's his name? Blake Perkins. I think we'll see him.
I think it's possible.
I just lost my notes. What the heck?
You keep
computers,
doing
man.
Yeah, I see they recalled Owen Miller to take his spot there.
Yeah. I thought I saw somebody else too. Weimer from.
I don't think anything real actionable there, but I mean, super util guy.
Right.
But
No, and that sucks for the Brewers because they've been off to kind of a really hot start, especially with the bats. So we'll see if this kind of takes some air out of the balloon for them.
Next injury we got Cody Bradford. Guy's been just playing very well. It sucks. 3 starts, a 1.40 ERA, going on the 15-day IL. Also with back issues, back soreness. So picked it up at some point during last Wednesday's start. He'll be out at least till the 26th. Really sucks for him and fantasy managers alike, as he's just gotten better each time he's went out in those 3 starts. He's only surrendered 4 runs, 3 earned in 19 1/3 innings with just 2 walks as well, and held hitters to a nice average exit velo of 87.4. So K rate was awesome at almost 24%, and that outstanding walk rate of 2.8. Very good. So now don't drop him. You should hold him through this injury, considering how well that he's looked early on. So just park him in the bench or your IL.
Yeah, another guy in Austin, I think this one will hit home for you. Jake Berger of the Miami Marlins went on the IL. He's dealing with a left oblique injury. He said the discomfort he was feeling is similar to what he experienced last season when he was with the White Sox, and dealing with that injury, he only missed 10 games. I think if you can get away with him just missing 10 games, here you're going to be happy with that. You have to be surprised with what he's given you at the plate, especially his power. And that's on a team that doesn't really have a whole lot else to speak of in terms of power bats. So that's going to be a big hole in the Marlins lineup, and it'll be a big hole there in your lineup as well. You just got to hope that he comes back, right around that, 10 days, 15 days, spend the minimum there and get back in the lineup. But obliques, again, same thing when you're dealing with a back. Just when you think you're good, you swing a bat and it's shit, I'm back to square one. So it's funny how a lot of times the prescription for these injuries is just rest.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Anything to add for Burger Boy? Austin? Nothing? Good.
No, I was hoping for.
Yeah,
I might be a little delayed, guys. Sorry.
You're good.
All good.
But yeah, 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, but he's not slashing very well. It's just 228, 281, 421. So that leaves a little bit to be desired, but still been putting up some nice production. All right. We got Seiya Suzuki, outfielder with the Cubs. They placed him on the 10-day injured list with a right oblique strain. So prior to yesterday's season opener, hurt his oblique. I don't know if you saw the clip as he was running out a grounder along the first baseline there. So he's played pretty well this season. They're going to miss him. 15 games, 18 for 68, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 13 RBIs, 11 runs, 6 walks, 20 Ks. That's going to happen with him, but still slashing 305, 368, 525 for an 893 OPS. So, they say 10-day IL oblique. It's going to be at least a month. I got to believe at least 4 weeks, 4 to 6 probably. And this is a familiar injury for him because it was a left oblique strain last year. He missed 6 weeks. So obliques are tough to come back from. They're real critical for all baseball activity, most of all swinging, So they recalled Alexander Canario from AAA. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tauchman in right field more. He's really a nice 4th outfielder, occasional starter at DH. He's not going to carry the offensive upside or equal at all to Suzuki, especially if he's out there in a month plus of starts. So, and I don't think, Austin, since you're a Cubs guy, I don't think moving Morel to the outfield is and Madrigal to third is an option either, because I really think Morel's settling in there at third, and I don't think you should mess with it.
No, I think he's settling in nicely there. We want to keep his bat there at third. Madrigal's just an empty bat at this point. I mean, he's nice to come in for defense and some running, right? But I mean, he just doesn't have anything in his bat.
Yep.
I remember
I
he
think
was
Tauchman offers more
really
upside.
hyped too.
He was, yeah. He was a big prospect for the White Sox.
Yep. Heck yeah.
All right. One more hurt. Bobby Miller, LA Dodgers. And you know, he's a pitcher, so you almost kind of expect everybody to get hurt at some point. He's on the IL with the right shoulder inflammation. MRI showed no structural damage, which is good, but there's no timetable for his return. So that's kind of bad for your fantasy team. They want to see how it responds to rest. He had shoulder trouble in spring training of 2023, which delayed the start of his season. And it was actually pretty fortuitous for the Dodgers because that helped him limit his innings. And he was off to an excellent start this year. I think he had something like 18 strikeouts in 11 innings, and he had an absolutely dominant performance before he got hurt. I'm thinking they're going to take a very cautious approach with him. Don't be surprised if he's out 3 or 4 weeks just to make sure. And shoulder injuries to me are scarier than elbow injuries, just because there's so much more that's going on in that joint there. We'll see how it plays out. He's definitely a bright spot in their rotation. And they definitely need all the help they can get there in LA with their rotation. Shit, you look at the guys they have on the IL, that's a damn all-star squad. So right now they're just kind of holding it together with spit and gum and duct tape, and they're going to just have to outscore everybody until they can get some of these arms back.
And they're
which
certainly
shouldn't be a problem.
they're certainly capable of doing that. How do you feel about Bobby Miller? Anything to add on them or the Dodgers, Austin?
No, nothing really to add there. I mean, it's an unfortunate loss for him, but I agree with you, Matt. I think that they're gonna treat him pretty gently, man. I don't think that they're gonna rush him back by any means.
No. And he's not going to throw for a week. Well, this might have been a couple days ago, 5 to 7. You know, I don't see it. I would be. You're looking to win a World Series there in LA. You know, I would be.
You need those
careful.
innings.
Yep, I'd be careful on what you're doing. So,
yep.
Heck yeah. Excellent. Matt?
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yes, it is. It's been a lot of fun talking some prospects. We haven't had the chance to do this in quite a while. And obviously we had a special guest with us today. Austin, what'd you think now that your first podcast episode is pretty much here in the books?
It was great. I got a little break in there too, which was nice. You know, I let you guys kind of take over. The nerves are gone now, so it was fun, guys. Thank you. Hope you guys did Horton some justice.
We did. We took care of your boy there.
We did. Yeah. Yes, we did. It sucked that you had to go there for that player, because I know that you really wanted to talk about him hardcore there. So, but yeah, appreciate you joining us. Hopefully, you can do it again sometime soon. If you want to, no pressure. But
I'd love to come back.
Hell yeah, awesome, great show, Matt. Take us out.
Yeah, so that is going to be a wrap for today. Don't forget, we will be back Thursday evening with our 2-start pitcher episode. Really, really looking forward to that.
Sure am.
The march to 200 subscribers was pretty damn short. It was more of a stroll. So we blew past 200. Now we're on the road to 500 subscribers. Can't make it without all of you out there, and we certainly appreciate the support that everybody shows us. It really helps make this worthwhile, because for us it is a labor of love, and until we can build our media empire. So until then, take it easy, folks. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.